Hi, and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. It is the end of November, and we get into the end of 2023. And as a mortgage broker, as a business owner, you could be thinking, I cannot wait to see the end of the year. Can't wait to see this year behind me. Some of you might be thinking, I don't want this year to end. I want to keep on this wave. But always at the end of November, when you're starting into December, you start to look at 2024, you start to look at next year. And that's important to do that. And we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks on the podcast. However, before you do that, before you start to plan for 2024, it is important that you review what you've achieved this year. It's important to reflect on this year, to reflect on you as a person, you as a mortgage broker, you as a business owner, reflecting on your plans, what you want to achieve, and the rest of it. So before you start to plan for 2024, it's important that you review and reflect on this year. And so we're going to look at in the podcast what you should be reviewing, why you should be reviewing, and how you should be reviewing. So we're going to be talking about that on the podcast. However, before we get into the podcast, we've got the Mortgage Broker Bulletin with Lee Rowland, the weekly slot that we have on the podcast now. Lee's bulletin this week is slightly different, and I'll let Lee explain the bulletin this week.
Thank you, Craig, and welcome to the 8th edition of the Mortgage Broker Bulletin. This one might be a little bit different. We're not talking about rates, we're not talking about banks, we're going to talk about us, brokers, and what we're thinking about at this time of the year. It's a really, really difficult time of the year for some people, especially for brokers who work on their own in their homes, small firms, self-employed. Your mind can play tricks on you. You've got pressure from the children who want some presents, got pressure to go out, you got bills going up, petrol's going up, no mention about inflation last week, but everything seems to be getting on top of you. Up in your mind, you've got to assess yourself, self-perception. So are you potentially vulnerable? Now, I don't mean vulnerable overall as a person, but in this situation, when you're thinking of your role, where are you at the moment? How much you turn over? Are you on for forecast? And if you're not, are you going to hit that big red panic button? Because there's a lot of courses out there at the minute. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of free stuff you could do before you go onto those courses. You've got this podcast, Chris Target's podcast, Ash's podcast, Alex's podcast. Chris Target does a monthly newsletter. Chris Target has got £100 for a calendar for social media. If you're going to go on one of these courses, look at your hourly rate over the last 5 cases you've had. See how much that is. Then divide that into how long it's going to take you to go on this course. Can you invest that in other areas? Assess the whole situation. Don't just dive in. Reach out. There's a massive mortgage broker community out there. I'm one of them. Craig's one of them. We're all here to help. Don't just dive in. Onwards, upwards and forwards. And I'll speak to you next week.
Thanks for that, Lee. And I think it is really important message that you're getting across there in this week's bulletin. So thank you for that. It is an important message. It is all about the mortgage broker community and the community that is out there to help and support mortgage brokers. So thank you for that message on this week's bulletin. Really appreciate that. So as I sort of said before, it's the end of November. So we're starting to think about plans for 2024. What does that look like? But before you do that, it is important to review what you've achieved this year. So before you start to plan for next year, review, reflect, take the time to do that and look at what you've achieved, how you've achieved it, and focusing on that before you start to plan for 2024. So we're going to look at why you should be reviewing, what you should be reviewing, and also how you should be reviewing as well. So why should you review before you plan? Well, you need a time of reflection. You need a time to review what you've achieved. And it's a time for yourself, time to be honest with yourself as a person, as a broker, as a business owner. It's time to be honest with yourself. And this is a real sort of time to review and reflect you as a broker this year. So how effective have you been? How effective have you been as a broker, as a business owner? How effective has your business plan been for 2023? So you have to review what has gone well for you this year, what opportunities are there for improvement as well, and why you should be doing this, because this will help you develop as a broker, as an individual, as a business owner, and it will help you grow. So it's so important to review and reflect. So, how do you review? Well, what you need to do is take yourself out of your normal place of work. You shouldn't be sat in your normal desk, behind your normal desk, sat in your normal seat where you work every single day. You shouldn't be reviewing the year sat in that normal space, because it's important that you get out, get somewhere new, get somewhere quiet where you can take a time to reflect, but just somewhere that you've got somewhere different. So just somewhere you've got no distractions. So making sure that you turn in any new notifications off. If you do need your laptop, that's okay. To If you need your laptop to review and to reflect, then it's okay to have your laptop. However, turn your email off, turn the notifications off, making sure that it really is a quiet space that you've got with no distractions. And like I say, switch everything off, because it's important to have no distractions, because what you want to do is, once you get into that zone of reflection and reviewing, you don't want that email to pop up, or that text message to pop up, or the WhatsApp or something like that then distracts you from what you're trying to achieve right now. So that is important when you're looking at reviewing and reflecting. So then so you've got that space with no distractions. It's then looking at, what do you review? Well, like I say, you could look at what has gone well, what opportunities are there for improvement, and are you in a better place now than you were 12 months ago? So first of all, what you've got to do is have a general overview. So just really get yourself a sense check of, how do you feel that this year has gone. So start with that, not getting into too much detail at this stage, but just having a general overview feeling of, how do you think it has gone? How that so just thinking about a bit of an overview from that point of view. Then what you want to do is get into the detail of, how about you as a mortgage broker? So start with that. So look at what's gone well, what areas are for improvement, and are you in a better place now than you were 12 months ago as a mortgage broker? So do the overview, then look at you as a broker. Think about where you're at. What have you learned over the past 12 months as a mortgage broker? How have you developed over the last 12 months as a mortgage broker? If you use journals, if you do use manual to-do lists, then take the time to use those things to help you to review, and look at where your head was at 12 months ago. And just so that will just might help with a bit of triggers if you're struggling with things like that. If you've got stuff written down, journals you had from 12 months ago, use those. So what I would do is start with that as a mortgage broker, thinking about what's gone well, what areas for improvement are you in a better place, what have you learned, what have you developed? And then it's okay to do the same as a person, as a human being as well, if you want to include that as part of the time to reflect. I know that I do, in terms of when I look at reviewing and reflecting, I normally look at me. So you're looking at, as a mortgage broker, looking at it from as a person point and the human being point of view as well. And then lastly, you want to look at that as a business owner. If you are a business owner, take your broker hat off for a second and think about go through the same process as a business owner. So again, think about what's gone well within your business, what opportunities are there to improve as within the business, and is your business in a better place now than what it was 12 months ago? So you're going through that sort of same process within those three things. So broker, person, business owner, go through that process and take the time to review. Then you want to look at your business plan. So you've done that, you've done it as a person. Now you want to take time to review and reflect on your business plan. So again, what's gone well, what areas of opportunities for improvement, and are you in a better place? And look at your business plans for 2023, what did they look like? And again, be honest with yourself when you look at that and taking the time to review your business plans. Then you want to look at your numbers. So you've done the things we talked about before. Then you want to start to look at your numbers and review and reflect on your numbers as well as part of your business planning, as part of your business ownership, as part of you being a mortgage broker. And look at what numbers are important to you. In over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about numbers. We talk about numbers in the past. We're going to talk about numbers moving forward. It's important to have numbers within your business and understand what the important numbers are, because that will help with your growth, help with your development and areas for your development. But again, making sure you're reviewing your numbers for 2023 and what numbers you seem as important. So it could be number of leads, the number of mortgages, your mortgage lead to mortgage conversion. It could be your protection conversion. It could be the number of policies, protection policies that you're selling. It could be drilling that down a bit more in terms of income protection, critical illness, life cover, third-party referrals, looking at that as well. Average case size, average broker fee, whatever numbers you've decided are important to you at the start of the year, take the time to reflect those numbers and making sure that you understand your numbers and taking the time to reflect them, because then you can only plan and look to start what 2024 looks like in terms of your numbers if you're reviewing and reflecting on your numbers for this year. So look at your numbers. And then lastly, and the most important one generally for everybody, is income. Did you earn in 2023 what you wanted to earn? Did you earn what you set out to earn this year? If you haven't, well, again, what's the areas for improvement on that? What's gone well? What's there improvement for your income? If you did earn that, then great. How are you going to build on? What does that look like for next year? But just taking that overview, drilling down then broker, business owner, and then looking at your numbers, plans, and your income, I think it's just important to understand what you've achieved, how you've achieved that, and really put you in that place when you're looking to start to plan 2024, which is what we're going to talk about over the next few weeks. So just to recap, before you start to plan 2024, make sure you review 2023. Find somewhere away from your normal workplace, away from the office, no distractions, no interruptions, and just take the time to reflect as a broker, as a person, as a business owner. Look at your plans, look at your numbers, look at your income. Be honest with yourself. This is then, if you're being honest with yourself, you can hold yourself accountable, and this will help you grow and develop as an individual into next year. So there's no point bullshitting yourself. There's no point in masking over anything. There's no point in, you've just got to be true to yourself, real to yourself, because if you're not, you will not grow. You'll just paper over the cracks, and you will not help you and support yourself as a person, as a broker, as a business owner, and really grow your business in 2024. So as I said, you've got to look at what has gone well, what are the areas and opportunities for improvement, and now are you in a better place now than what you was 12 months ago. So take the time to review and reflect will make you a better broker, make you a better business owner, and will make you a better person. Thank you for listening. As I said, the next few weeks we will talk about more about planning for 2024 and what that looks like. But thank you for listening to this week's podcast, which has been about reviewing. Any thoughts, feedback, comments you have, please put them in the place wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast. Please put your comments in there. And I just wanted to just take the time to end on Lee's message earlier, because the mortgage broker community is really strong. There's a lot of help and support out there within the mortgage broker community. So if you are someone that is self-employed, you're not part of a firm, or you are part of a firm that's working at your own, working in a bedroom, dining room table, wherever, but just wherever it is that you are working on your own, don't be afraid to reach out to other mortgage brokers. Don't be afraid to reach out and look for help and support within the community. I think that's important that you do that, whether that's now, next month, into next year. Just use the community. That's what it's there for. And don't be afraid to use that. So, yeah, thanks, Lee, for that message earlier as part of the bulletin. And I think it's just quite good that we end on that positive note about using the community that's out there. And as always, don't forget to run your own race.